right, it's that time of year again where our love of history makes way for our love of scary movies. It's Deep Cuts! And today's episode of Deep Cuts is brought to you by Tepes's Kebab Castle. What better way to enjoy Turkish food than impaled for you and your family? Try it today with our special tartar sauce, Tepes's Kebab Castle. Over 20,000 impaled. And today, from his creepy corner of Koreatown, we have Morbid Mike Black.
Yes.
I would like to say I've eaten at Tepes Castle, and the meals they prepare for the homeless, fantastic.
Very nice. Very nice. And then, of course, from also from Los Angeles, from the Black Lagoon of Silver Lake, we have Amanda, nothing like it on the market, Black Brass.
Well, apparently
Brass.
we're married
Black,
now.
Black
well.
Lagoon, Brass.
Sorry, everybody.
That's
Cupid
what happens
strikes
when
at
I read from
Halloween.
this.
I'm so excited to be on this show tonight. Oh my God, this story.
There's so much like legitimately messed up stuff that we're going to be talking about. And then of course we have Dan Dingman from his dark dungeon somewhere in the Midwest. Hello, Dan, and his horrifying sounds.
I don't even know what to say because apparently my apartment is even worse than me. So here we go.
I don't know that that's possible, but thank you for chiming in.
But
You're going back on mute. You're going back on mute. He's been muted. All right. Whew. Dodged that bullet.
That was close.
I am, of course, your humble host here, Alf Lamont. Alf, possessed by a demon, Alf Lamont. And it is legitimately a dark and stormy night out here in Sacramento. It is a biblical storm happening outside. Like it has been raining in a way that's just like, which is good because we're in California, so there's we kind of need it here, but yeah, kind of a really creepy, like windy, like scary night here. Perfect for discussing our subject matter today, which is based on a true story. And I want to say, I low-key hate when I see horror movies that say based on a true story, because all horror, in a way, is based on true things that we actually fear, right? Like, right. I think we've all kind of we've all talked a little bit about we made a reference to one of the most famous true stories, right? Is Vlad Tepes, Dracula. Yes, he's not like the undead, but very violent dude from a very dark space.
Still goth as it gets, even though he wasn't actually a vampire.
Exactly, very goth. And then of course we're going to be going into like several movies tonight that sort of play on that. But I mean, there's other stuff that's real, right? Or real, air quotes, right? Like, so there's like for example, Brass, people turning into animals at the full moon and turning werewolves.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like lycanthropy.
Lycanthropy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like philanthropy, but with lichens.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of these things, like, they're based on experiences people had or explanations for illnesses, like that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like if I were to remove my shirt in, say, like an indigenous country, or maybe like even in India, they'd be just like, that man has a lot of hair on his body. He must be part wolf, right? There's not a lot of body hair in that space. If I were to go to Japan, they'd be just like, yeah, right? So I mean, isn't most horror just kind of like ancient ways of explaining
the other,
right, phenomena?
The other, yeah.
Some animals less flattering than others that I might be compared to if I took my shirt off in another country.
That man is half manatee.
Yeah, I'd rather not hear the folklore that a lot of countries would do.
At least you guys are making it to the folklore. My ass is dead. Like,
Whatever it is, kill it.
She made eye contact with the cow outside. she's a witch. Like, at least
Yeah.
you guys are making it into the book.
Right. Wily women are often witches, and
Right.
yeah. So, but here, like, I think it's interesting. We all picked relatively recent things, and so we all have like it's the time span of a lot of these things. So it's very like 1970s, 1980s kind of centric, and Mike, we'll get into the one you picked, but I think for the sake of like argument, like you could say that yours also took part in the 60s and 70s, even though the movie was made in 2008.
Right. And they even put kind of a retro feel to a lot of it. I don't want to spoil what the movie is.
Yeah. Let's not get into it. But I do feel like there was a period of time that actually produced real horrors in a way that still haunts us. So, but
Yeah.
let's get right into it, and let's go with our first movie here. I don't even know. Like I didn't line these up as well as I should, so it's gonna be a grab bag of what exactly we're looking at. But so here's the first movie, and then whoever it belongs to can.
We might
can
just
kinda-
pirate the whole thing. What the heck?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Nope, that's not it. Okay.
Hey,
Yay! Yeah, no, it's this one.
It's the kind of house they don't build anymore. A relic of a time when the world wasn't in such a hurry, when there was still time for a little charm and elegance. It has stood empty for a long while, and at the price, it is a bargain. For a growing young family, it is almost too good to be true.
What do you think?
I love it.
James Brolin, Margot Kidder, Rod Steiger in the Amityville Horror.
God's peace in this house.
Hello?
Hello, Kathy. Father Delaney, there's something very important.
Mommy, I want to go home.
What do you want from us?
What's all going on? We have to do something.
I'm coming apart! Oh, Mother of God, I'm coming apart!
28 days after the Lutz family moved into their dream house, they were running for their lives. What happened to them is an experience in terror you will never forget, and you will believe in the Amityville Horror. From the best-selling book that made millions believe in the unbelievable, the Amityville Horror.
Ooh, Amityville Horror.
the grandfather of all these, based on a true stories.
That preview really didn't give enough away. It was more one of those like, make sure and have a house inspected before you buy it, because there's a lot of wood rot. You know.
Them
Yeah.
stairs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, just check under the floorboards for termites.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning of Amityville Horror, it starts off with you witnessing the original crime.
Oh.
But it doesn't show you who's got the gun. It doesn't show you who the victims are. Just you are a third person participant in the crime. It's kind of
Okay.
unsettling.
Well, Brassy, talk us through all of it. Like, tell us, like.
Well, okay.
That's Rod Steiger, right?
Yes,
you better believe
yes.
that's Rod Steiger.
That is Rod Steiger.
Sir.
A young Rod Steiger.
Yeah, I know. Which is funny because young Rod Steiger looks like
exactly like an old
Rod Steiger. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this.
I think he's a little less melty in this than he is in actual life, but really there's not much.
He's a little past his born on date, but yeah.
Yeah.
This man gives the performance that should have set the tone for the whole movie. He was in a separate film than everybody else.
But come on.
He was he was great.
What are you going to say, Dan?
Nothing.
Oh,
no,
okay. I thought you were waving at us. Okay. All right.
Rod Steiger. Oh, Ariel. So Rod Steiger's out here giving line readings. He's given pathos, ethos, all of the thothes. And everyone else, even Margot Kidder, bless her soul, and even James Brolin, bless his soul, not quite giving me the line. Yeah, not quite giving me the line readings that are fulfilling. It was kind of a bit like a one act, and we were in the front row.
And Margot Kidder never left this movie, but she's still nowhere near the level that Rod Steiger.
Nobody.
And I just want to add on, just because it's Halloween. If you haven't seen Tim Burton's Mars Attacks in a long time, see that again. Not just for Rod Steiger, but he's definitely in it, and he's fantastic.
We just watched it recently, the missus and I, and not only does it hold up, but I dare say it actually resonates even more today. Unbelievable movie.
How does something like that get scarier over time? I don't know. But yeah, there was a magic formula in Mars Attacks.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, so Rod Steiger, but back to this madness.
Okay. So the second scene, you open on witnessing the crime. The second scene is a very eager real estate agent saying, "Hello, over here. Come this way, please." And you watch this woman, and I wrote her down, Elsa Raven, giving me everything I need from a desperate.
That's a very Halloween-y name, at least.
Yeah, and she just passed away November of last year, or no, March of this year. She just passed away. Elsa Raven is really giving it all she can with the selling of the house. Like, look at this view. Beautiful, isn't it? You could turn that into a guest house. Look at all this property. Could you imagine that? This could be a playroom. She's going for it all the way, full bore. And in the movie, now hold on, it's 2021 right now. She says in the movie, this house is going on the market for $80,000. I almost rolled right out of my apartment. Real life. Now let me come at you with the real life. In real life, that house sold for $55,000.
What?
In 1973 or 1974.
Wow.
It was on the market, all that property, lakefront, Long Island, 3-story house, basement, $55,000. Now, it's my little name, nothing like it on the market, is a direct quote from Elsa Raven in the movie. And it kind of this movie started my fear of this house is too good to be true from that point on.
Well, today they could show me both this film and the remake, and then quote me that price, and I'd still buy it.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
in a heartbeat.
There's no haunting severe enough to not buy that house. It's just like, the walls bleed. How often and what days, so that I can just plan my life around that.
Let me just match the color. We'll match the color.
Yeah.
We'll make this work.
Yeah, exactly.
So some tropes with haunted houses here. We've got erratic behavior, like grumpy for no reason, obsessive behavioral acts. We've got bad dreams. We've got hearing things and seeing things that aren't there. All the basics.
It's literally Dan in the last 15 minutes.
Oh. But they come out swinging in one way. They bring out the priest while the family is outside cavorting at the lakeshore with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
The priest rolls up and hears kids upstairs and helps himself upstairs, and there's no one in the house at all. then he's trapped in the room, and he starts to kind of prepare his Bible for the blessing of the house, and gets absolutely victimized by that.
Wow.
Has
So-
anybody got a fly problem because of this movie? I am
Oh yeah.
fucked up
I
by
mean,
flies
that
because of this
pitch, that
movie.
view, like Rod Steiger getting like all of those flies on his face. It's so disturbing. But Brassy, so you mentioned. Let's get into the like the reality of this.
Okay, the
like,
truth of it.
Yeah, the truth of it, right? So
Yeah.
here's an image
Yeah.
of the very same house that we're describing here, and it's
That's-
cordoned off by cops, and there's
Yep.
a lot of folks in bell bottoms, and something went down.
So this is
What went down?
112 Ocean Avenue in the South Shore of Long Island. That was the original house. They have since had to remove those two top windows. They've had to completely reconstruct it because there's too many looky-loos coming around.
Yeah,
The
I mean
town
those
hates-
those two windows are so like they're iconic.
Anthropomorphic.
And, yeah, yes, the thing is looking at us. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's as though you're disturbing it by going inside
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's its own creature. Oh, there he's back. He's back. So they've actually officially changed the address of that house to keep people from looky-looing. That's how big
Yeah.
of a problem they've had with it. Now
What happened?
the true controversy. Oh, okay, the truth. We'll get to the controversy after the truth. Here's what we
Okay.
know.
Okay.
Police reports reflect that November of 1974, a young 20-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. got up at 3 a.m, loaded a shotgun, and took out every single person in his family in the house in their beds. What I don't understand is who caught him, how did anybody know something went down, and why did the police show up when they did? Because that bothers me a little bit. That's missing in the timeline. In the movie, the cops are there.
Dan,
with the
you
ambulance.
know something. What are you
Oh,
saying?
does Dan know something? Yeah.
Yeah.
I said
Yeah.
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Well, it was the 70s, and we are talking about Long Island.
Yes, that guy was so high. Come on.
Could have been. So what we can say, the controversy begins with why was there evil in the house?
Okay.
Someone had
So,
said, yeah.
Was the evil in the house prior to the coked up murders? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the argument.
The argument is it was built on native. What was? Dan's giving me gang signs.
Yeah, you're unmuted, Dan.
No. It's both. I'm saying it's just both. She's right. Like,
It was built on native. What?
doing coke on a native burial ground is probably a bad idea.
It's not a native burial.
These are the snippets of wisdom we come to you for, Dan. Thank you.
The native
Just gonna-
tribes
I'm just
there.
gonna mute you again.
Okay. The native tribes deny that was not a place of burial. It was not a place of worship. It wasn't a ritual place. It meant nothing to them in particular. So native tribes want nothing to do with this. They're not involved. They're in the movie. They say it was owned by a man who was a practicing witch during like the Salem witch trials, and that he communed with the devil in the red room in the basement, and that's like the hellmouth of the whole building.
Okay.
That wasn't true in real life. I think what people in the 70s and what we struggle with here as horror fans.
Dan's having trouble again. What's going on, Dan? Why are you not in?
Well, the DeFeos came out and said it's all fake.
Yeah, they did. They said 100%.
They said
there
they
was
did
no
it
reason
for the
behind
money.
it.
Right.
Yeah, they did take
So-
a nice paycheck. They took a really nice paycheck. They did the circuits talking about this movie.
Got it. Okay. But that was
But
the DeFeos. But this story is about the Lutzes.
The
right?
Lutzes, yeah. The Lutzes bought the ooh-wee. That's a haunted picture.
Why is that a haunted picture? I don't know. I don't know what the Lutzes. I don't know what the ultimately happened to the Lutzes.
Wow.
Well, clearly they were abducted by John Candy.
Oh.
That's what
You know,
happened to
Margot-
them.
Margot Kidder is also Canadian. Did you know that?
No.
I did not know that. I had to look it up. She's Canadian as well. Bless her.
She looks Canadian.
Oh.
She does.
Only Americans know what that means. Okay. So long story short, they had the Warrens, you know, the very famous, what's their name? Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes.
They brought out this. I mean, people kind of started realizing this was a money grab, so they started bringing demonologists.
So wait, the Warrens, are they the same people from like the
Conjuring? And,
The Conjuring.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm starting to notice here is that like these worlds of true stories all begin to intersect in a pretty complete way. Yeah. It's there's money to be made in haunted houses and demonology.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Warrens seem to show up, and I love the Warrens.
Yeah.
Well, I love the Warrens in the Conjuring universe, but in real life, wow, how convenient! You show up everywhere, right?
Yeah.
She does seem like a nice lady. She does seem nice. I've seen interviews, but wow. You're just everywhere.
Well, they're also like the top billed nutbags to call.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
They're going to show up. You know?
And I mean, the Lutzes brought out everybody. They brought everybody out to do infrared photography, and they claimed to have seen a demonic child with glowing eyes at the bottom of the staircase. Again, like I think people were having. I think guys. This is what it is. They were struggling with the fact that a boy with behavioral issues or perhaps mental illness committed a crime, a heinous crime, a very personal, disturbing crime. And no one knows how to say, why don't we look into the kid's history? Did he need help? Everyone just says, it was the devil. It was a possession. The house is alive and hates Catholics. Like, it was
right because Kathy and like the Catholicism like really plays hard in
big time.
Like, oh, if you had only been a little bit more Catholic, or you know, like, and they bring in an actual priest, and it's the priest who has like all of these issues, right? Like his hands blister and the flies and all of this random stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like it's funny because
you did too much, man. You did too much. That's what it comes down to. You did too much.
Yes. It's horrifying, Dan. You're
no, it's all a drug thing. Come on.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So we've got sort of all of the makings, right? We've got Catholicism.
Yeah.
We've got demonologists.
Yes.
We've got and what is it about this period of time that like really like sparked all of this sort of like these questions about possession and demonology and all of these kind of things? Because not long after that, we have our next movie, right? So let's roll the clip here, and then Dan, you're going to get to talk to us about this the next, also one of the most classic horror films out there. So here we go.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. Nobody expected it.
All right, let's see what
Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it.
There are no experts. You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now, I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
Yikes. That
Right?
movie still messes me up. And I think if
It's
you're
so good.
Catholic,
It's so good.
Mike or Brassy, were either of you guys like Mike? Were you raised Catholic? Brass, I don't think you were, right?
No, not really.
If you're Catholic, this movie is, I think, twice as scary as it is if you're some rando prod.
That's me. I imagine it does, but I'd like to hear why you think that is.
Yeah. So Dan, why don't you talk us through? So just kind of overview. Little girl gets possessed by a demon.
Mhm.
Priests come in,
So-
perform an exorcism. Blah blah blah. Where did this all come from?
The story of the Exorcist is written by William J. Blatty, I think, right? William Blatty,
Yeah.
who's a very strong Catholic. The story actually comes from St. Louis back in the 40s. It had to do with a boy child, a male child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, he was possessed, whatever. But I do have a friend from St. Louis whose mother worked at the hospital where he was in. And when they tore it down, the staircase that went to his room stood with no support for 5 minutes before it collapsed. That's where we're at. So here we go.
Interesting.
So Blatty found this out, wrote the book. I've never read the novel. It's on my Amazon list. I need to read it. But he wrote the novel, and we make this movie, and it's in D.C. But there's something interesting about, now we've turned it into a girl who's 12, 13 years old, going through divorce. I don't know if I've told you guys this before. I think this has to do with divorce.
You
But
have
she...
mentioned that.
No, but there's something interesting about girls going from girls to women. That is weird to our culture. I think it's weird to every culture.
And you
to be quite
need
frank.
two Catholic priests to come in when
Yes,
when
you
doing
need
that?
two.
That's two.
You need two celibate men to come in.
and
then they
explain
will
to
figure it
the
out.
woman, the young girl who's going through these changes. You need two celibate men to explain to.
Right.
Go like, no, you stop that right now.
Right. Exactly. That makes perfect sense.
I mean,
But,
honestly, you're not far off. Like, but back to the possession in St. Louis, right? Like there were actually like two priests, like the young priest, which is this guy here,
and apparently, as far as
And
I
the
know,
older priest.
the little guy stood up and relieved himself all over everybody in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, well, obviously,
as I've done before, so it is what it is. But it was pretty intense. But Blatty, the guy that wrote the novel, read about the kid, and then I really can't figure out why he decided to turn it into Georgetown in the 70s, and make it a girl.
Well, I mean,
Except
I think
making it a girl.
Well, because number one, if you set anything in St. Louis, nobody's going to go watch it.
Right.
So we've got that, but we've also got so the name of the kid was Robbie Mannheim. He was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
That had he was the alleged victim of demonic possession. And the priest, Raymond Bishop, who is the younger one of the two that I just showed, so it's this guy.
Father Karras.
Yes.
Essentially.
He recorded a lot of what went on during this, which is what kind of made it like a unique exorcism. But a lot of the stuff that ended up coming out of it was pretty quickly debunked.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wanted, people wanted to interview the priest here, and when it came time to actually talk about it, the priest refused. Right. So
you actually can't. Once
Like
you've
how-
been involved in one of these, you're locked
Like the
down.
NDA? It's
Well,
an
no,
NDA?
it's like patient psychologist sort of thing. Well, priest, right? Like you can't just talk about it. You can't just interview people about it.
That's true.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
So-
That's
Well, I
convenient.
guess that covers why he changed all the details and stuff.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point. Well, so they say that during the exorcism, the boy did the breaking out of the restraints, which we know what that's all about. Broke the bread spring from under the mattress and used it as an impromptu weapon, slashing the priest's arm. And then they moved the kid to South City Hospital, where they finished the exorcism. During the Litany of the Saints portion, the boy's mattress began to shake. He broke Halloran's nose during the process. And then after that, he was just like, I'm done. Bye. The priest was just like, that's it. Never again. I'm just going to go be a quiet priest somewhere. And that was the end of it. But again, like I think a lot of like this kind of stuff, like as we continue to understand trauma, as we continue to understand how people act and react, like we could definitely say that this kid was probably going through some psychological problems.
Right. Here's the thing, like, so my wife worked on psych for a little while, and the one rule of psych is you never let the patient get between you and the door, right?
Oh.
One time it happened to her.
Oh.
Yikes.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
and then things really become demonic real fast when the psych patient is between you and the door. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
This is a psych thing. And then in the movie, Father Karras is a psychologist, right? He's a PhD psychologist.
Georgetown, which is a Jesuit institution, which is interesting because the
and not just Jesuit, it's basically Ivy League, right? Like
Ivy League Jesuits. Yeah. So it has that sort of sense of gravitas that institution brings to the whole thing, but ultimately, like all of these, I mean, there's so many exorcism movies now. There's the Exorcism of Emily Rose, and there's just like the Padre whatever, and like there's a bunch of exorcism movies, and it feels like they're all drawing on basically like this kind of thing, where it's just like, there was this kid one time, and the kid wasn't doing so hot, and he broke a bed and punched a priest in the eye, and everyone's just like possession, right?
And I've noticed it's also become really popular in Spanish language over like the last 5-10 years.
What, exorcisms?
Like, yes. Like, there's been a lot in Mexico, a lot of Argentina, a lot from Spain. Like, it's interesting. Well, they're Catholic, for one thing, right?
But so are these? Well, so let me ask you something, Dan. Are all of these new exorcisms that are happening now? Are they done by actual priests? Are they church exorcisms? Or there's a new Pentecostal movement in in Central and South America that would potentially also like tap into already pre-existing biases towards demonic possession and
it might be both. I'm just saying like the like new exorcism movies. They all come from like Spain, Argentina, Mexico, Italy, like
Catholic.
It's there's
and that's
it has
that's
to
what
do
we
with
talk
that.
about, right? Like
and that man lived forever, by the way. Talk about possessed.
Max von Sydow.
Yeah, he died at what, 210 or something like that?
Like a week ago. Like, it was, I mean, he recently passed away. Max von Sydow, awesome.
If the news tomorrow said Max von Sydow had died yesterday, I would believe it.
Yeah.
He died, came back, and died again.
Yeah, I could see that. If anybody could, It would be Max von Sydow.
He's a million years old. Whatever.
He was a million years old during this movie, though they aged him on purpose a little bit more. And then he was a million years old 40 years later when he was doing Star Wars movies. I mean, he
looked the same.
Yeah, looked exactly. Honestly, I think he
a little
looked
less
better.
baby powder.
Yeah.
He
looked
looked
better now
exactly
than he did
the
then.
same in The Greatest Story Ever Told. As
Christ.
Jesus. Jesus. He looked
All right,
exactly the same.
I'm gonna go back to muting you now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. No, but I think so. So we've gotten two movies. Both of them had to do with demonic possession and Catholic priests, right? But I think the one thing that Brass's movie, that Amityville had, that Exorcist doesn't have, is murder, right? And like that murderous mayhem kind of stuff that goes on. And that was a big part of the general psyche at that period in time. That death and evil is everywhere. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but we will explore all of those reasons here in just a second as we go into our next clip, which is Mike's movie. And I think this one caught me off guard because I was just like, well, how is that? I didn't realize this was based on a true story.
So jacked up.
All right, so here we go. Mike's movie.
I just want to tell you something.
What do you want to tell me?
You are my girl.
I love you, Jimmy.
What is that?
It's okay, there's nothing here. I haven't heard a dog bark or a car pass. Nothing.
There's someone out there.
Hello?
What is it?
It's my phone.
Oh my God.
We gotta get out of here. Then open the door, and I just want you to run, okay?
Why are you doing this to us?
Because you were home.
I legit jumped during that preview. Like, I actually jumped. Like, during the preview. I mean, that movie is horrifying.
Yeah.
Mike, talk us through the others.
Well, I didn't really do the research on the true story part because you don't have to, because home invasions happen all the time. And of course, the most famous that I can think of is the Manson family murders.
Precisely,
and
yeah.
When you look into the details of those, it's grisly, and it's amazing how that was like the wrong people at the wrong house. They had just moved into the house of a guy that Charlie Manson knew. And something that just obscenely horrible happened to them. And that can happen to any of us. You can slight the wrong person on the street and they follow you home. It's such a palpable true story that makes it so terrifying that And that last line in the preview, because you were home.
Right. Right.
No other reason than that needed in the mind of someone that damaged, And the movie itself is a brilliant movie. It's a real roller coaster, and I think the best horror movies are the ones where you're so invested in it that you can't help but guide the people on screen in your mind. Please, God, don't do this thing that you're about
just
to
walk
do.
out. Just walk out right now. Just
you
right
think of
now.
Like 30 other options.
Yeah, you're just like, please.
They're doing. But there were a lot of moments in here where you're like, I would have done the exact same thing. And I would have paid heavily for it,
Right.
Because a lot of the time in the film, they do the right thing to do. And that's a very nimble rope to walk, to be able to have them actually do the smart thing and still pay for it.
Right.
And that it's really, really well done. I'm glad I watched it again,
Yeah, and there's sort of I think the idea of a home invasion, I think especially in this country, it's funny, it's not funny, but in Mexico, in places where home invasions are much more common, there's no preying on that, but I feel like in this country, like the idea of a home invasion and protecting against that monster, I think Charlie Manson lives with all of us in this country to this day. I don't think that the horrors of somebody coming into your house and randomly killing you were made flesh as vividly for this country until that moment. Right. And that's why this movie continues to resonate. But so you were right in bringing up the Manson murders. I think that was like the beginning of sort of this idea. And when you think about it, the movie Brass that you brought up, like those murders, again, just like no explanation. It just happened. All of us are susceptible to these maniacal moments, right? And I think there was a really, like, think about these like when did serial killers actually like begin to, like, when there was a moment where serial killers actually became a thing. It's not like people were making movies like around, I mean, Jack the Ripper obviously was like the OG, but you've got this whole mess of serial killers that all come in sort of the same 20-30 year span. And it's all these white males that like earn people's trust and then kill them and eat them and like all of these different things. And a lot of these based on a true stories are based on some of the fears that were brought on by some of these folks, and so Dan's got to chime in. Hang on. What's up, Dan?
Well, if you want to talk about early serial killers, if you ever visit, we will go to the L Tavern, which is a couple blocks from me, which both John Wayne Gacy and Ted Bundy picked up his victims. It literally credits itself the creepiest bar in America.
Horrifying. And that
2 blocks away, we'll go.
Yeah,
it's also very cheap.
Awesome. I'm in. And so you get this sort of like serial killer action in there. Which really speaks to because serial killers more than other folks are random about like how they choose their victims, and most people will be killed by someone who they know, not by random ass murderers walking in through their door and killing them. And yet the idea, like, we don't look our significant others, though it depends on whether or not I loaded the dishwasher correctly, but we do not look at them and fear they're going to kill us. And even though they are more likely to commit a murder than a random person walking into that. What we truly fear is what happens in this movie, Mike, and that is random ass people picking other random ass people and terrifying them.
And doing it just for fun. For
kicks.
And the idea, they never flat out say it in the film, but the way the murders are portrayed, you feel as though they don't really care whether they live or die through the experience themselves.
Right.
It's all entertainment right up until the end, if that should happen.
Right.
Which is an impossible thing to bargain against. You know?
There's no leverage there.
Yeah. And that, to me, that is part of what's terrifying about a situation like that, is that, you know, they used to have in the old horror previews, it can't be reasoned with. It can't be, bullets won't stop it. Fire won't kill it. It can't be reasoned with. And it really is that third one that matters the most, because, you know, if you can't do that, you are completely out of options.
Yeah. And so back real quick to sort of this idea of like evil you can't escape, right? And sort of randomized evil that you can't escape. One of the things that inspired this movie in particular, yes, the Manson murders inspired this movie because of the randomness and the couple and the whole idea of like some. I mean, I think the true tragedy of Sharon Tate was that she was actually like kind of like a beautiful soul and kind of like a sweet person. She was pregnant, and there's a lot of sadness there, and so it made that the brutality of that and the randomness of that even more horrifying. There was also another series of murders that happened in 1979, in July of 1979. Or no, sorry, 81. So I mean, it puts us in this time span that we're kind of talking about, those 70s and 80s, where you're just like, what is happening? And there was something called the Ketty murders, where three members of a family and a friend that was visiting were murdered inside a house. The girl went missing. Tina was taken from the scene of the Ketty family. No.
Cuddy.
No. Sorry, it's the Sharp family.
Oh,
But
wow.
It's Ketty, California is where all of this took place.
Okay.
And basically, this is what it says. There was a Ketty resort in the late evening of 1981. The bodies of Sue, John, and Dana were found in the morning by Sue's 14-year-old daughter, who had been sleeping at a friend's house. So she comes home from sleeping over at a friend's house, and they find the bodies of three of the four. The sons, Rick and Greg, so this was a large family, as well as their friend Justin Smart, were in the house when it all happened, but were unharmed. They didn't hear anything.
Wow.
And then Tina, the girl, was missing from the scene, right? And I mean, you can imagine like what a horrifying experience that must be. It went unsolved. It was mostly unsolved until relatively recently, where they found a hammer and they found some DNA and all of these kind of things.
Ew.
But at the time, and even in 2008 when our movie was made, this was the stuff of horror. Home invasion, seemingly random. The victims were randomized, brutal. 3 people in the home, fine, left alive, didn't hear a thing. Everybody else killed. I mean, that reality is absolutely horrifying. And so, again, it just leads me to think that, like, all of these movies, all of the ones that are just, like, based on a true story, yeah, it's based on our fears, right? Like, we have, especially if you're Catholic, you have a fear of the devil. I was asking my wife just not that long ago. I asked her, hey, you went to Catholic school. Did they talk about the devil? Because I didn't go to Catholic school. I just I was raised Catholic, but
they covered the devil, right, while you were there.
Well, I mean, it's a fair question, because my experience in growing up Catholic, at least from my grandma talked about the devil, and people around me talked about the devil. but no, I never heard a priest for once go like with the possible exception of, isn't there like in the Apostles' Creed a line about the devil? I think there is. Anyway, but ultimately, like, the devil seemed like something outside of the actual religious education. But my wife said that the when she was growing up out of her religious education, that the devil was a tangible thing. And you think, like she's a woman here in 2021. What kind of indoctrination was happening in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s when these exorcisms take place, and how much more real was the devil at that point in time, to lend it sufficient credence that this movie resonated, the Exorcist resonated, right? So there is like all what I'm trying to say is that we are sort of led into fearing certain things, and then all it takes is a trigger, like the Manson murders, like the Exorcist, or like the Amityville Horror, to sort of launch us into believing that these things are plausible. And I mean, as a kid, I was 100% sure that the Amityville Horror was real, that I would someday walk into a house that was flooded with flies, right? I was 100% sure. I mean, I was in college just kind of hoping that The Exorcist was real just because it's so badass, right? But, part of us wants to think like there's these Catholic priests that are badasses and they come in and they fight with the devil and win, right? Like, that's kind of, you don't want to think that, Brassie?
I don't think
you don't want
anybody
to live in a world?
I live in a world. No, I don't think that these movies made me think that Catholicism or prayer was as powerful as the devil. They were weaker then.
Unmute Dan here. What do you got to say, Dan?
All right. So we've been talking about devils, demons, serial killers, but I've kept something in my back pocket that we have not talked about. Oh. Sorry, I'm going to jump on it. There's a movie. It's not that great, but it's fun, called The Fourth Kind, which is about alien abduction. Which is a whole nother thing of this, you guys. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's such a scary movie.
Terrifying.
I mean, alien abduction.
Beyond science. Beyond religion.
What is the
come on, we have
movie?
Let's put all the different
Fire in the
kinds
Sky.
of weirdness out there.
Fire in the Sky and Communion.
Oh
yeah, both of those are really good. But I really like Fourth Encounters. Like, it's so creepy. The cop body cam image with the shooting, with his wife, like the whole family thing at the beginning is terrifying. It's awful. And
Fire in the Sky is the redneck Mike. That,
right.
Driving his truck, and all of his friends are just like, I think he's gone.
It's the ice skating movie. Right?
What?
Yeah. It's the what?
The guy from the ice skating movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Abducted. And
Sweeney.
they show him a circus of horrors.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying. And I mean, like, nothing scares. Like, for me, this.
That's the upshot of it.
Yeah, I mean, they show him the circus of horrors. Yeah, the aliens are just like, I get, like, I'm terrified right now. So I think for me, the scariest thing I've ever seen in movies is the alien walking across the street in signs.
Yes.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Exactly.
Like that is chilling to me. That is
and
chilling.
Joaquin had such a great reaction. He jumped out of his chair backward, and I was like, I'm behind you, behind the wall.
Because the alien doesn't walk, it lopes.
Ooh.
Right?
Did you notice the pose when it's on the news was the Bigfoot pose?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like Gumby. They don't have bones. It's just cartilage moving.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yes, Dan. That is something that none of us wanted to actually talk about, but it is horror. But it also like alien abduction also is very similar to home invasion, and that is that something unknown is coming into your house. It is stealing you away.
Yeah.
No stopping it. It's it's a random choice. Comes into your house and
right.
Best case
Horrifying.
scenario, David.
Bright lights.
What is it? What's
just,
your best
case scenario?
Just bright lights in your window. The next thing you know, you're out of your bed, being dragged somewhere. That's how it goes.
David Duchovny. That's right. That is the best case scenario.
Every
I agree. And but I think again, like all of these different pieces definitely play into a certain amount of indoctrination and purposeful blurring of truth from reality, right? Like I think the idea of, especially now, the idea of home invasions and the idea of others coming in to take us and take our things has been exploited by folks, including the gun industry. I think the gun industry loves movies where some random person comes into your house because you go home and you're just like then those aliens come, they're gonna answer to my gun, right?
Yeah.
Or they and same thing with these people in the creepy sheep masks and whatever.
That's one thing I liked about The Strangers is that it showed that can backfire on you too.
Right.
That they did an excellent job of showing just it doesn't really matter how much you prepare sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, the truth behind weapons ownership is that you are more likely to use it on yourself or somebody else in your household than you are to stop a home invasion or anything like that. But that doesn't deter both our psychological need for defense. You're talking to someone who just recently bought a beautiful decorative bat as their
Not decorative.
A decorative bat. Oh, it matches our room
bedazzled?
beautifully.
Like, what's decorative? Does it have tassels?
No, it's
some robber's going to be picking rhinestones out of his ass.
There's glitter everywhere, man.
You guys know it's a Mexican bat that has drawings on it, and it's for piñatas. Look, whatever.
Okay, I understand.
It's my weapon of choice.
That's your weapon of choice. I have my grandfather's 1950s nightstick for being a cop.
There you go.
Under my bed still.
Oh my god.
There you go.
Wow.
So there we go.
Yeah.
I have my rapier wit.
There you go. That'll get them.
I heard they're feeling so bad. Yeah, it's over before it began.
So it's definitely and that's exploited, and then Catholicism, obviously, boy, they don't have a long history of psychological manipulation or anything,
or scooting around uncomfortable information.
Yeah, exactly. So all of these things are sort of left to our imagination, and to the deeply plausible. And this morning I woke up and I was watching TV and I thought to myself, what I haven't seen in a while is a very specific kind of movie that was on TV when I was a kid. And so we're gonna watch this and we're gonna talk a little bit about how, especially as children, there was the purposeful blurring of lines between what is real and what isn't. And they would do this to us in order to get more money from us. Okay. So I'm just going to roll this clip, and then we will discuss this movie. And this is a surprise. I switched movies last minute. All right, here we go.
¿Sucede algo? Sí. Lo del profesor Bruno Adler. Ese es un caso cerrado. El profesor...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Santo and Blue Demon versus the monsters. What monsters, you may ask? All of them. That's Frankenstein.
Blue Demon. Otra vez este maldito enmascarado.
There is a zombie of sorts that they also take care of. There's a mummy. There's a weird werewolf kind of creature, but there's the werewolf back there. There's the mummy. There's a vampire. There's a thing. It's just a generalized creature. Very realistic looking. And then there's this. Right? Wrestling moves. And wrestlers and pro wrestlers wrestling in this movie. It's supposed to be a scary movie. There's Dracula. Right? Is that not always the money shot there of any movie with a vampire? That they kill the vampire and then the vampire disappears. I feel like every vampire movie. So I wanted to bring this movie up because Santo and Blue Demon are both two like super famous Mexican wrestlers.
It's like the
right?
Hulk Hogan and
the Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Macho Man, a little, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say
like
it's like,
Sting.
yeah, I think it's both. It's Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. And here they are in a horror movie with monsters and all of this kind of stuff. But as a kid, you are viewing things that you know to be real. You know that you have Santo and you know that you have Blue Demon. These are real fighters. Very much in the same way that we knew Sergeant Slaughter was a real wrestler. And yet Sergeant Slaughter appeared in G.I. Joe.
Correct.
Dan?
Yeah.
Not just a real wrestler, a real military officer, by the way. So.
Oh, sorry. My apologies to
That's okay.
Thank you, Sergeant Slaughter, for your service. but yeah. But in all seriousness, we are especially as kids indoctrinated to blur the lines between reality and not. Like we go to Disneyland, we take kids to Disneyland and we're like, hey, these are the characters. And the kids are like, they are sort of real. I am looking at a tangible manifestation of Mickey Mouse that everybody seems to agree is Mickey Mouse, yet the face is frozen, which I know is not real, and yet everyone is telling me that Mickey Mouse is real.
Clearly a fabric costume covering a man. Right? Everyone seems to be in a mass delusion.
Correct.
This is what's happening.
But we continue the mass delusion. Santa Claus is a mass delusion that everybody buys into, right? And we show movies, and there's Santa Claus the movie. And the important thing about, regardless of who plays Santa, they all look the same, right? So we know that Santa is this thing that we are constantly being reinforced. We know that it exists. We have like this whole mythology built around it, and there is insistence as kids that this mythology is real. Where does Santa Claus live? The North Pole. Everybody knows that, right? And we are meant to take it as fact until we don't. Right?
Yeah.
And how much like this, and this is modern day, right? Like this is all done to sell more toys, to sell more kids, more toys to kids, and sell more stuff. But how, like, the further you go back, these wild ass stories of indoctrination that were meant to sort of blur reality. Dragons are monsters, and monsters
the
exist.
Grimm fairy tales,
Right.
There's so many things like that are, fairies in the woods. Simple
narwhal horns.
Sometimes to protect kids, sometimes to make dull shit magical.
Yes, exactly. And it was part entertainment, part explaining things that you can't explain, right?
And part go away, kid.
Yes, and part go away, kid.
Go out into the forest and collect me 12 fairies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And make sure you come back before dark, because that's when the wolf and the witches come out, right?
Right,
and so
exactly.
you get rid of the kid for the whole day. They're out in the forest. They come back. They're tired. Hip hip hooray! Right?
Fear is a manipulation tactic.
Yeah, but fear, and also like what we've seen here is the blurring of reality and the blurring of mythologies in order to sell movie tickets, to sell us this fear, to sell us all of these different pieces. But at the end of the day, truth be told, literally none of these, based on a true story, lives up to being anywhere near the actual movies, including Blue Demon and Santo versus
Right.
the monsters, right? Like these guys are like, we can actually trace Santo
No.
and Blue Demon.
Not the
in
woman
ways-
vampire.
Well, not the woman.
The woman vampire. No bra.
La mujer
no bra.
vampiro. Yeah, no bra. No. And the Cyclops.
Ciclope.
Ciclope, yeah. I mean, ultimately, like, these are all ways of getting us to enjoy certain things a little bit more. And I
Sure.
do think that we enjoy scary movies a lot more when they're plausible.
Well,
And when-
to link it back to Mars Attacks, the two biggest heroes in the movie, Jim Brown and Tom Jones. And Tom Jones plays himself in the film.
Yep. I mean, there you go. And
That's
and
the new
and,
Ciclope.
and it makes it it makes it plausible, right? It makes it,
Yeah.
and you do feel like it does feel extra special when you see real life. I mean, weren't all of the Scooby-Doo with the Harlem Globetrotters
Yep.
and Scooby-Doo with like Laurel and Hardy, like
The
weren't
mamas
those
and the
things?
papas.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all of those things were awesome because they were that merging of like reality and like well, surreality. I mean,
Right.
but I think that's really the jam for these like based on a true story films. It's not whether or not they were truly based on a true story. It's the possibility that we have a foot in reality and a foot in the dream world.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, and I think, what's up, Dan?
No, like you were saying, the Harlem Globetrotters, and then you were talking about Sergeant Slaughter. Remember when Sergeant Slaughter joined G.I. Joe?
Yes, that's what we're talking about.
And the Chicago Bears' William the Refrigerator Perry became
Also
a G.I.
joined
Joe.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember
In
that toy.
between selling McDLTs,
Right?
he joined G.I. Joe.
I'll tell you what, everyone I talked to in Chicago wishes I owned that G.I. Joe, and I sold it. I could have gotten $1,000 in this city for that G.I. Joe.
Interesting.
Thank you. Good.
The true horror.
I had it.
Never mind. Okay, $1,000.
Mike knows what I'm talking about.
I know
He
what you're
has
talking
it.
about.
He's like, oh, I'm gonna
He
go.
had
I'm
that.
gonna
He
go
had
sell
that
that in
like
Chicago
football
right now.
weapon, right?
Yeah,
He had that
Yes.
football weapon
Like a
that was like a
mace.
mace
Like
that
a
you would
mace,
swing
yeah.
around. Yeah,
Super Bowl trophy.
yeah.
Just turn your ass to it. You'll be fine.
Mike's
So,
got
yeah,
three of them. Mike's got three of them.
I have one.
I mean, I like honestly, I might go on eBay after this just because I love the idea of that so much. But low key, like I think that's what appeals to us about stories, about mythology, about everything, right? Is that there's a hint of truth to it. There's a plausibility to it. It is our way of touching both the thrilling part of life, but also the mysterious part of life, right? Like, and very much in the same way that we couldn't explain, like, oh, well, that was the gods did that, right? Or fairies did that. The modern way of sort of experiencing that is we cannot explain the horror that we inflict on each other. And so we build up these mythologies around them, and try to explain it away through demonic possession, through deviant, murderous, evil possessed beings. rather than confront the fact that these are all like signs of illness in our society and how we treat each other and how we deal with mental health, with roles in society and so on. But anyway, it's a hell of a lot of fun, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to touch that. That's why I love history, right? We can in ways make connections to things that are long gone and go like, oh yeah, that's why we do that now. And this specific episode was very, very much in that tradition. So this was awesome. But
can I add one thing, since you brought up that fantastic movie with wrestlers battling evil? Do yourselves a favor after this and Google Walmart's Masters of the WWE Universe, where they've incorporated all of the major wrestling icons into Masters of the Universe figures and made them all look like sword and sorcery versions of themselves.
What?
The one to look up, if you only look up one, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh!
I believe, Mike, that I have seen these on your Instagram.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, I believe I've seen them.
Most likely.
And big shout out also to like the OG, like wrestling. There's a reason that it's Santo and Blue Demon. There's a reason that it's the WWE Masters of the Universe, and that's because wrestling has no qualms about making up mythologies and mixing up reality and what's fake. They have no qualms about it, right? That is the original, like real, is
it
this
is a
real?
world
Is
where
this fake?
RoboCop helped Sting out of a jam during a tag team match.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, what can you say other than wrestling is the original way to commune with our gods?
Wow. I've been trying to tell that to my family for decades.
Dan, yes, what? You're not on mute,
yes,
so.
you're absolutely right. I mean, look at the Greeks. They loved running around, throwing each other around naked, jumping on each other, right? Like wrestling was a big deal for the Greeks.
Yeah.
No qualms.
And it
qualms.
was no. And the more oiled up you got, the better, right? Like,
because then they can't hold you.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
The slick pig theory. Yeah.
Oh, well, that
no
really
wrestler
did
called
fall.
himself
The slick pig.
Well, like we can't hold. Family Guy did a whole thing on it.
Okay. All right. And on
Well,
that
Brass
note,
grew up on a farm, kind of, right? Like a small farm, right?
Did you have any pigs, Brassy?
We did, but we didn't. They were totally outdoor animals.
Yeah, but when they got muddy, you couldn't hold that shit.
No. Well, I wasn't allowed to. These pigs were bigger than I was.
They were, what, 400, 500 pounds?
No, nothing like that. Just
okay.
Just your general farm
What the
pig.
fuck kind
Are we
of
talking
pig?
hogs or sows?
Sows. Sows only.
Dan, where
Did you sell them out? How much did you sell them for?
They all died.
Okay, Dan,
They all died. You didn't sell them
are
out?
you selling livestock here? We were just talking about movies, and you've
I
gone
bought a
off
pig
on
last year for $2,000.
You go on some random ass 4-H.
No,
thing
I
here,
went
right?
to a livestock auction. I bought a pig for $2,000 last year.
But what happened?
Well, I ate it. What do you think I did with it?
Okay,
They're
was
at the
like,
auction, or
I have so
I had
many.
it processed.
I guess my question really is.
No, I got bacon. I got back. I got the whole thing. It's $2,000. That's why. I mean, I know what she's talking about.
Okay.
What we say now?
Nothing. Next week we're gonna have we're gonna do potluck.
Potluck, Dan, bring your trotters.
It's all gone.
No.
I mean, what I couldn't eat, I sold off to others. So
Okay, so
all right.
but lay down the law here. The
law. Here's potluck. Potluck.
I got some venison if you want to buy it.
God damn it, Dan.
I'll send it out to you.
All right. Potluck means we all have to bring a deep cut, right? In the same way that like we kind of did away with the fact that they were deep cuts this week because we really needed to talk about these movies. Like I am glad we did this. Yeah. But next week the rule is that it cannot be something like that everybody's seen. Like you gotta pull some good shit here. No rules, just bring something solid. And then also be ready for like giving something a shout out, because I think we'll bring back our honorable mentions next week.
Yay.
And just have our final Halloween episode of this year's Deep Cuts.
Oh my gosh.
I know. This went by so quickly.
It did.
It did.
It really
It
did.
did. All right. Anything else? Anybody want to say anything before I roll the video clip?
Nope.
All right, let's do it before Dan says anything else. Good night, everybody.